Welcome to Unit 2, Introduction to Network Security. Of course, this is CIS220. What we're going to talk about basically this week, we're going to look at the challenges of securing information. What is information security? Who are the attackers? And attacks and defenses. And of course, the things we're going to work on this week include reading Chapter 1 of the textbook or the alternate readings. Take a look at the supplemental readings, watch the videos, complete the discussion board postings. That counts as your attendance for the week. Do the Unit 2 assignment, either a 3-page paper or the optional lab, either one is fine. And do the Unit 2 assessment. It's 10 questions, 1 point per question, based on the readings in the chapter or the optional textbook, Wiki University. Things we're going to look at include what are the challenges of securing information, what is information security, who are the attackers, and what are some attacks and defenses. By the end of the week, by the end of this unit, you should be able to identify some of the challenges of securing information, describe what information security is, be able to identify some of the potential attackers, and identify some of the different attacks and defenses that can be utilized. And of course, our chapter focus is going to be on introduction to computer security with an overview of security threats, an outline of some security measures, and then a quick summary. Intentional attacks, vulnerability. Intentional attacks on computing resources and networks persist for a number of reasons. And of course, the complexity of computer software and newly emerging hardware and software combinations make computer and networks susceptible to intrusion. If you think about it, just about every 6 months, new models of phones are coming out, and of course our various providers are talking to us about upgrades, free or reduced costs, if we'll just sign up for a year or two. And it's difficult to thoroughly test an application for all the possible intrusions. This is one of the reasons why even the government is being hacked on a regular basis. Some security threats include things like Trojan horse programs, backdoor and remote administration programs, denial of service, being an intermediary for another attack, unprotected Windows shares, mobile code problems, cross-site scripting, email spoofing, we've all probably gotten some of those, email-borne viruses, hidden file extensions, chat clients, and of course packet sniffing. Okay. Trojan horses are programs that are installed without the knowledge of the user generally. They can perform a wide variety of covert tasks such as modifying and deleting files, transmitting files to the intruder, installing programs, installing viruses and other Trojan horse programs, etc. Covert installation of remote administration programs such as BackOffice, NetBus, and Sub7 can cause you some real problems. Businesses often don't know that they've been infected. There's a very good YouTube video called Configure that talks about this just a little bit. And such programs can give remote access to the computer from anywhere on the internet, anywhere in the world. You can also find yourself acting as an intermediary for other attacks. When our client computer is used to launch mostly denial of service attacks on other computers, that happened on October 21st. Huge denial of service attacks on various websites. And an agent is usually installed using a Trojan horse program to launch a denial of service attack on other computers. Unprotected Windows shares can be a real problem when administrators give more than they should in terms of the access to a particular file. It turns out to be a problem. And of course, mobile codes in Java, JavaScript, and ActiveX can be executed by a web browser. Okay, you can disable Java, JavaScript, and ActiveX, but then you run into problems when people are trying to do things that have a multimedia aspect to them. And of course, email received in HTML format is also susceptible to mobile code attack. It looks nicer and it's neater, but it's bigger, it's bulkier, and it is more vulnerable. I myself prefer to get my email in plain text whenever possible. It's not as neat, but the information is still there, and it's faster and it's more secure. Cross-site scripting is when a malicious script is sent and stored by a web developer on a website. Obama has been affected by this, as well as a number of other government and corporate and individual websites. And of course, email spoofing is something we've all run up against, where they try to trick the user into believing that the email originated from a certain user or a bank or an organization. And they often have a link or a click here. We have problems. We need you to log into your account. And of course, they're simply looking to trick you into initiating some activity that they can then install a program on your system, or act as a man in the middle and acquire your username and password and access other accounts of yours. Mail-borne viruses can be found where they're distributed through emails as attachments. You get these attachments, you don't know quite what it is. It's a refund or it's a bill you weren't expecting, and you open it up and then wham bam, your system's been infected. And of course, hidden file extensions. Something that looks like a particular file and you click on it and it turned out to have had a hidden file extension, and it actually is going to be infecting your system. And again, the configure video on YouTube is well worth watching for that reason. Chat clients, internet chat applications such as instant messaging applications and internet relay chat can cause you problems as well, because they can be vulnerable to malicious executable codes. You get something, you don't know quite what it is, you click on it, and whoops, you've been infected. Packet sniffing programs are supposed to be for determining and measuring data streams and trying to troubleshoot computers networks to be as effective as possible, just like measuring traffic on a highway, but they can also be used for less noble purposes to find out exactly what's going on, and acquiring usernames and passwords and other data that can be used to hack into a network. We're looking at providing security, and the bad news about this is that we need to do it. The good news about this is that there is a huge demand and very commendable salaries in people who do this sort of thing. Lots of businesses rely heavily on computers to operate critical business processes, really at the point where very few businesses do not have computers and networks that they rely on. Individuals are using computers for tasks that require confidentiality, okay? And the advent of the internet has provided a physical path of entry for every computer connected to the internet. There's always going to be a physical connection of some type, okay? Providing security requires actions on two fronts, both management and the technical fronts respectively. The management aspect relates to organizational policies and behavior, and the technical aspect relates to the implementation of hardware and software to secure access to computing resources in the network. The best practice approach for this is to ensure secure behavior, which means training and working with your people, and the above can be done by established guidelines for managing, addressing, and rectifying security-related issues. Okay. Technically, you can look at the introduction of security-related hardware and software to secure access to computers and computing resources, but user training and management support are kind of keys to getting this all done. From an implementation point of view, some things you want to think about are implementing security patches and other updates as available, not just when you get around to it. Install self-monitoring, antivirus, anti-spam, and anti-hacker pop-up blocker software. Firewalls are very important, and use encryption on your communications wherever possible. And these approaches can complement each other. They are not approaches that can be single unto themselves, like an island, like the old poem about each man being an island unto themselves. You want to work together. Security patches are issued by mainly the operating system vendor. Okay, Microsoft is a good example. And examples of self-monitoring software include antivirus, AVG is a good example, spyware elimination, advanced system care, pop-up blocking, and anti-spam software. And other examples of self-monitoring software include McAfee, pop-up blocker, anti-spam, firewalls, which are distinct from virus and antivirus software, okay, are used for controlling access to the computing resources. It acts at the network level, controlling network access to computing resources, much like a concierge at a condo in downtown Chicago acts to block people who do not belong to the building and getting in the building and doing things that nobody really wants them to do. Encryption basically makes the data illegible to people who are trying to monitor it. Essentially, you're putting it in a tunnel, you can't see what's going on. It's like if everybody's wearing a raincoat downtown Michigan Avenue, you can't tell who's dressed well and who's not. And that's essentially what we're looking at with encryption. Okay. Some applications that use encryption or implement encryption include VPN, PKI, and digital certificates, and we will talk more about that in later units. And firewalls and encryption, as I said before, will be discussed later on. Some web references that talk a little bit more in detail about this include the ones listed here, And I'd like to acknowledge Dr. Ganesian, okay, for providing much of the public domain content that he very kindly posted for me to take advantage of for this overview. And that's the end. Thank you.